You got the job. You remember that day. The offer letter. The number that felt bigger than anything you'd ever seen with your name attached to it. Maybe you called your mom. Maybe you went out to dinner. Maybe you just sat in your car for a minute and thought, finally, I made it. That was a few years ago. And right now, today, you're sitting somewhere, maybe on your lunch break, maybe after a long commute home, and you're doing that thing again. The quiet math, the mental calculation you'd never stop running. Rent, car payment, student loans, groceries, the credit card you keep meaning to pay off. And somehow, no matter how many times you run the numbers, they don't add up to what you thought they would. You have a good job, you make decent money, and you are still, somehow, living paycheck to paycheck. Not because you're irresponsible, not because you're lazy, but because nobody ever told you that a good job and financial freedom are two completely different things. And the system, the one you worked so hard to get into, was never designed to make you rich. It was designed to keep you just comfortable enough to stay. Think about the last 3 years of your life. Every morning, alarm goes off, you get up, you get ready, you show up, you do good work. Maybe you got a raise somewhere in there, 2%, 3%, maybe even 5% if you negotiated hard. You felt good about that, you earned it. But then rent went up, your car needed work, your health insurance premiums climbed quietly in the background like they always do. And that raise, the one you fought for, the one you were proud of, it vanished. Not dramatically, just dissolved into the cost of your existing life. And you're exactly where you were before, except now you're a year older. That's not a coincidence, that's a pattern. There's a specific kind of exhaustion that comes with this. It's not physical tiredness, you can sleep through that. This is the tiredness of trying hard and not moving, of doing everything right and still feeling behind, of watching people who seem to be living bigger lives and not being able to figure out what they know that you don't. You've probably told yourself this story 100 times. Once I make more, I'll save more. Once I pay off this card, I'll invest. Once things settle down, I'll figure out the money stuff. But things don't settle down, and the goalposts keep moving, because the problem was never the amount. The problem is the game you're playing. Here's what nobody tells you about salaries in America. A salary is not a path to wealth. It never was. A salary is a transaction. Your time, your energy, your expertise exchanged for a fixed number that someone else decided you're worth. And that number, no matter how good it looks on paper, has a ceiling. Your boss has a ceiling. The company has a budget. And somewhere in a spreadsheet you'll never see, there's a hard limit on how much your good work will ever be worth to them. Meanwhile, the cost of your life has no ceiling. That's the trap. Not a dramatic trap, not a scam or a scheme, just a quiet structural mismatch between a fixed income and an expanding life. And the scariest part is that it's designed to feel normal, because everyone around you is in the same trap. Your coworkers, your neighbors, your friends, most of them are running the same math, getting the same answers, and telling themselves the same story about next year. And here's where it gets interesting. The people who actually build wealth, not the ones who earn the most, but the ones who end up with something, they figured out one thing early. They figured out that your salary is where wealth starts, not where it ends. Most people treat their paycheck like the destination. The people who win treat it like raw material. Think about what you actually do with your money right now. It comes in, it goes out. Rent, food, bills, subscriptions, the occasional thing that makes life feel worth living. And whatever's left, if anything's left, sits in a checking account earning essentially nothing while inflation quietly eats it alive. You're working 40, 50 hours a week to fund a life that isn't growing. You're running on a treadmill that's been set just fast enough that you can't stop, but not fast enough to get anywhere. But here's the thing nobody shows you, the math behind why this keeps happening. Let's say you make $60,000 a year.
After taxes, you're taking home maybe $45,000. That's $3,750 a month. Now your rent is $1,400, car payment $450, insurance $200, student loans $300, groceries $400, utilities, phone, subscriptions another $300. That's $3,050 before you've bought a single thing you actually wanted. You have $700 left, and that $700 has to cover gas, eating out, clothes, emergencies, and anything resembling a life. Now you get a $3,000 raise. Sounds good. After taxes, that's maybe $180 extra per month. But your rent just went up $100, your car insurance went up $20, and you've been putting off a dentist appointment for 8 months. Your raise is already gone before you spent $1 of it. This isn't bad luck. This is lifestyle inflation, the invisible force that expands your expenses to match whatever you make. And it's not a character flaw, it's psychology. When you make more, you feel like you deserve more. You upgrade slowly, quietly, without even noticing. The nicer apartment, the better car, the restaurant instead of cooking. Each one feels earned. Each one makes sense in isolation. Together, they guarantee that you never get ahead. The wealthy don't think about money the way you were taught. They don't ask, can I afford this? They ask, what does buying this cost me in the future? Every dollar you spend today is a dollar that will never work for you. And the people who understand that really understand it, not just intellectually, but in their bones. They make different decisions. Not perfect decisions, not miserable, never spend anything decisions, just different ones. Here's the first principle that changes everything. Your income is not your wealth. Your savings rate is. Two people can make the same salary and end up in completely different financial realities in 10 years. Not because of luck, not because of investing genius, just because of the gap between what they made and what they kept. A person making $50,000 who saves 20% will outperform a person making $80,000 who saves 5% every time. The math is ruthless and it doesn't care about your job title. Most people focus their energy on earning more hours, better performance reviews, side hustles stacked on top of full-time jobs. And earning more matters, but not if your lifestyle expands to swallow every dollar you make. The real lever isn't income, it's the gap between what comes in and what goes out. That gap, invested consistently, is how ordinary people build extraordinary wealth over time. Not quickly, not dramatically, just steadily, quietly, while everyone else is wondering where their money went.
The second principle is harder to hear. Your employer is not your financial partner. They are your customer. You sell them your time and your skills. They pay you what the market requires to keep you from leaving. Not what you're worth, not what your contribution generates for the company, just enough to keep you in your seat. And the moment a cheaper option exists, a younger hire, a software tool, an offshore team, the transaction changes. That's not cynicism. That's just business. And the people who understand this stop waiting for their employer to take care of their financial future and start taking care of it themselves. Your 401k contribution is a start, but most people treat it like a magic box they check and forget. They contribute the minimum to get the match, then never look at it again. They don't know what they're invested in. They don't know the fees they're paying. They don't know that a 1% annual fee, compounded over 30 years, can cost them more than $100,000 in lost growth. These are not complicated things. They're just things nobody ever sat you down and explained, because the system works better when you don't ask questions. The third principle is the one that separates the people who change their situation from the people who understand why they can't. Identity drives behavior, not knowledge, not discipline. Identity. You can know everything about compound interest and still spend your tax refund in a week. You can understand the math of investing and still find reasons not to start, because your behavior follows your self-image. If you see yourself as someone who's bad with money, you will find ways to confirm that story. If you see yourself as someone who's just not wealthy, just not that kind of person, you will make decisions that prove yourself right every single time. The shift isn't budgeting harder. It's not downloading another finance app. It's deciding, really deciding, that you are someone who builds wealth. And then acting like that person in small, unglamorous ways every day, long before the results show up. The results always lag behind the identity shift. That's why most people give up. They change for a month, don't see anything different, and conclude it doesn't work. But the people who actually make it through to the other side, they change who they were first and trusted the math to catch up. And here's the uncomfortable truth underneath all of this. Your lifestyle is someone else's business model. Every subscription you forget to cancel. Every upgrade you made because it was only a little more per month. Every convenience you pay for because you're too tired to do it yourself. That's not just spending. That's a system that was specifically designed to extract money from people who are too busy working to notice. The busyness is not a coincidence. Tired people make easy customers. And 5 years from now, if nothing changes, you will make more money than you make today. You will have a better title, maybe a bigger office, maybe a new company with a signing bonus. And you will still be doing this math, still wondering why it doesn't add up, still telling yourself that next year, when things settle down, you'll figure out the money stuff. That's not a prediction. That's just the pattern. And you already know it's true because you've already lived the first chapter. So here's where you actually are right now. You have two paths, not good and bad. Both of them are hard in different ways. Path one is staying in the pattern. It's comfortable in the way that familiar things are comfortable. Even when they hurt, you keep the good job. You keep the lifestyle. You keep the story that you'll figure it out later. And later becomes a year, then 5 years, then a decade. And you wake up at 55 having worked 30 years for someone else, with a retirement account that might last 8 years if you're careful and nothing goes wrong. That's not a nightmare scenario. That's the median outcome for people who never changed the game they were playing. Path two is uncertain. It doesn't come with a guarantee. It requires you to do things that feel uncomfortable before they feel normal. To save money when you feel like you deserve to spend it. To invest before you feel like you have enough to invest. To make boring decisions for years before the results become visible. It requires you to stop waiting for permission from your employer, your circumstances, your past, or your paycheck. Neither path is easy, but only one of them leads somewhere different. The question isn't whether you understand this. You do. The question is what you're going to do tonight when the video ends and the familiar pull of your existing life reasserts itself. Because the version of you that builds wealth isn't waiting for more money, isn't waiting for the right moment, isn't waiting for someone to show up and make it easier. That version of you starts with what's already there, your move.